A lot of people like to sit and ponder on philosophical questions, thinking about what is the meaning of life, why do I exist, or even what type of job should I go in for the future. But I like to think about more interesting things, such as how would it be to beat Fallout 4 as a British roadman? So, of course, today we're going to do exactly that. We are going to try and beat Fallout 4 as a British roadman. Innit Bruvs. The rules today are going to be super simple to follow because roadmen are almost a subsect of humans who never really fully evolved and they have very simple minds. So to copy that, we're going to be using only knives, the whole run, knives only, and we have to, as the script says, wear them loose fits, yo. That basically means no armor in the whole entire run, we're just going to be rocking clothing. With the two main rules out of the way, and I know this doesn't sound like a lot of rules, but trust me, it's going to be a tough run, let's get into the run. As always, whenever we begin with a Fallout 4 run, the most important part is the character itself, and British people come in all different looks and nowadays all different colours, so I decided I would end up looking like Tom York. Honestly, absolute mistake, I didn't mean to make him look like Tom York, but I'm just going to run with it. The salesman then came to my door and I set my special stats. I put a big emphasis on strength here because a knife only, and also agility because we're going to be using special or sneak attacks quite often, and also special hits with VATs. After the very conveniently timed salesman who pitched a vault that could save my life from an apocalypse, my ops drop a mad ting from the sky mandem. In the vault, I hop into a freezer, and the ops pop a cap in my wife and steal my offspring. I get out of the freezer. The vault is not that bad at all when you've done it 100 times, so I just shut the doors on the rad roaches, wait out the combat timer, grab the Pip-Boy, and escape from
Vault 111.
Now, out of the vault, I have access to the whole Commonwealth to terrorize. I begin by following my natural impulses and robbing my deceased neighbor's valuable goods. I also read the first and only book I'll read in my life, and increase my luck to 5 for Idiot Savant. As a little post-run note here, we got stupidly lucky with the Idiot Savant triggers. I'm not going to edit them in the video because it's a bit annoying, but I had 5 triggers complete on mission complete. So whenever I finished a mission, they would trigger, and I don't know how it happened. That was only in the first hour. However, though, with the first steps of our ultimate dominance done, the next step was quite obvious. I needed to get myself a weapon, or I really couldn't do much. So I set off on a mission to find said weapon. The first stop was Trashcan Carla, and while I really did want to threaten her, as a roadman my threats are useless and only serve to stop me from shopping with her. Unfortunately, she did not sell what I needed, so I continued towards Diamond City. I did a little pit stop at Cambridge Station and saw the fucking pigs, but I used my street smarts to realize that if I get in the station, I can maybe find myself a weapon in the police lockup. Sadly, there was no knife inside, but there was a very nice amount of drugs that I can inject, smoke, snort, really put in any orifice possible. With all the easy options to getting a weapon exhausted, I just gave up and I make my way all the way to Diamond City in the hopes that someone will have a knife which I can buy. Not long after I arrive in the city and enter the marketplace, lucky for me, Arturo sells a combat knife for 84 caps, and with one quick robbery of an upstanding citizen, I'm able to buy myself a knife from Arturo. With a skeng in hand, man am able to finally reclaim Concord as one of man's ends in it. English translation is, I have a knife and I'm gonna go take over Concord. The raiders outside, honestly, no sweat because I already have a few levels, and the fact that I have a combat knife kind of makes it quite easy. It's actually a decent weapon in the early game and has okay damage. As a little side note here, this thing is more like a machete than a knife because it can just remove people's head in one swing. I've never seen a knife do that in my life. Inside the museum, the very enclosed space is even better because I can just go from raider to raider and wipe them all out one at a time with sneak attacks. Soon I speak to Preston and his gang and I agree to help just because I need some more people in my crew, and so I prepare myself for the battle at hand. I head from the roof of the museum and I jump down through the church, and then after that I sneak behind Gristle and his crew of raiders. This jump allows me to wipe them out fairly easily. I use sneak attacks on some of them, and the rest I just kind of stab down. As for the other raiders who are a bit more spread out, I decide to summon the Deathclaw. If you don't know how to do that, if you run up to the sewer grate, it will basically make him come out, and then he just pretty much kills the rest of them while I hide on the roof. I did also get the pleasure of watching the Deathclaw annihilate half of his own HP with a car when he exploded, and then after that he mauled the rest of Concord and killed all the raiders. I was about to go fight him, but I guess my roadman aura must have been so good because he just sat down and fucking died. I don't know what happened or how, but hey, he's dead and I'm honestly not going to complain because last time I fought the Deathclaw with a weak weapon, it took me 30 minutes. With Concord fully under my control, it was time to get a real weapon. So I took a trip to the scrap and met a bunch of like-minded people who liked to shoot me. But my Roadmen finesse allowed me to escape. Eventually, I met a gang who needed some wetting up, and I cut them up and entered Pickman's alley. Inside, I get the jump on 2 unsuspecting raiders and kill them both with sneak attacks, and then I fight the tankiest regular raider I've ever killed. I mean, I get he is legendary, but why did he take so many bloody hits to die? I'll never understand. With that legendary raider dead though, I make my way down into the sewers, killing off more raiders as I went. I had my first death to a turret, and that will be the first death in the first 2 hours. It took me about 2 hours to die, but trying again, I made my way all the way to Pickman, and I helped him get out of his pickle. I know, I'm very funny. Now, releasing Dexter, is that a good idea? I'm not too sure, and I don't really care, because he's going to give me a very good and cool-ass weapon. With this new knife in my hand, Pickman's blade, I now have the power to make the rest of the game actually beatable, and not as cancerous as it would be. Now that man got a new knife, I head back to Diamond City, yeah, and I use it on someone to steal their watch, fam. I didn't even ask for the watch, I just killed the guy, didn't even take it off him. But while I was at Diamond City, I also stopped by the private investigator, and I speak to Ellie, who tells me that a rival gang has taken Nick before I can. Fueled with rage that another crew be messing with me, I head to Park Street Station and take a quick pit stop at Swan's Pond. As we kill Swan, let me explain how and why Pickman's blade is so good. Well, first, it's got all the max upgrades for a combat knife. Obviously, that's a bit difficult to do when you're like level 5, so I'm glad that we have that at the moment. It's going to be a little bit weaker later on, but it's good now. And the best part is the 30 points of bleed that it inflicts. These stack, and whenever I hit an enemy, or whenever I block an enemy, or whenever I hit their block, they're still going to bleed from that. This is why I'm able to kill big enemies quite easily, because you can just stack a ton of bleed, and that is why I was able to kill Swan at like level 6. Inside the station, I kind of abused the sneak attacks for the most part, and the first level was quite easy. I mean, the triggermen were pretty spread out, I could sneak around, and I killed all of them without really anyone noticing. On the second level though, I have to get a bit more involved, I have to run around, and I do die a few times because of all the submachine guns. This is where you'll notice the no armor, or really, I don't have no armor technically, but almost no armor, began to really add up and screw me over, especially with the submachine gun guys. They just annihilate through my HP and rip me apart. After I do come back from the dead, I am able to eventually wipe out that area. It took quite a few attempts, but it wasn't as bad as some of the things that will happen later in the run. Inside the vault, the first 2 triggermen were quite an easy kill, because I can just sneak up on them and kill them both. The main atrium was also not too bad. I usually have trouble here, but I just snuck around and used sneak attacks again to hit every triggerman who wasn't looking. As for Dino, I snuck up on his ass like a predator.
Ugly motherfucker.
And one-tapped him. Nick and I speak, have a nice little chat, and then we escape from the vault. On the way out, I die, and I raged. But coming back to life, I kill them all at record speed, showing off my true Roadman skills, and then I kill Skinny Malone and his crew. They were not too bad, because VATS on the 2 guys in the back pretty much allows me to remove most of the threat, because that makes it from 3 submachine gunners down to 1, because Skinny is the only guy left. After that, I can just kill Skinny, and then I leave the vault with Nick, especially since Dalla is not really a big threat. Back in Diamond City again, I speak to Nick Valentine, and I recall the time when my woman got killed and my baby was taken. Honestly, I don't want any of them back. I don't care that my wife is dead, because I would have to pay child support. And honestly, I just want to thank the man who shot my wife, because it's saving me a lot of money. Nick then says he wants to roll some dude's house, and even though I've had many hours of breaking and entering, I was unable to pick the heavy-duty Master Smith's lock. They make really, really amazing locks.
This is the lock-picking lawyer. Down on the shim.
So I have to go rob the mayor for the keys. Inside Kellogg's home, I use my expertise to steal everything he has, and by coincidence, I find something useful to track him down. I let Dogmeat sniff the cigar, and of course, I do something that I would always do. I go to the combat zone. The raiders outside get sticked, and inside I die. Trying again, I take out all the raiders, and as a reward, I win myself a hoe. Now that man's got himself a hoe, I gotta wet up them clankers in these ends. This basically means, now that I've got Kate by my side, I'm gonna go shoot up and stab up a bunch of synths. The synths in the fort were pretty easy, and I don't know why, but you can bleed them. I've never seen a robot with blood, but I guess this will be the first. So, since that was a thing that I could do, the first floor was fairly easy to breeze through, and that's the hardest part of the whole entire Kellogg mission in my opinion. It's that first floor of synths, and with them dead, I was able to kind of just run through that first floor without too much trouble. The second doer of synths on the second floor take a second of second thought, and with my second along with me. That basically means I don't even know, I couldn't tell you. But for some reason, I do get stuck behind this fallen concrete because Blitz refused to work, and it lasted a solid 2 minutes. Meeting up with Kellogg though after all that, I instantly abused VATS to give myself a nice easy killing, turning Kellogg into a bloodletting plague victim instead of a normal human. With Kellogg dead, the main ops arrive in the Commonwealth because mandem be getting too strong for them to handle Innit Bruvs. Now that I've wiped out Kellogg, I return to Nick and I have a nice little chat about what to do next, and then I visit the Colonial Tap House and watch some weak ass bitch get his ass handed to him. After that, while I was roaming the street looking for someone to roll, he rocked up and told me to help him confront Henry, and so I agreed. But when we confronted Henry, I turned my ass on that weak punk and wet him up to steal his shit. Now prepare yourself for the best British accent I can do. Bruv, man like Henry tried telling me, yeah, he was gonna lock off some mandem's deal, yeah? Man weren't having that. I shanked him up, left man laid out, and jacked the intel off his body. At the chem deal, I stabbed up everyone there, including Nelson Latimer and also Trish, who tried to surrender, but Roadmen code number 1, no witnesses. I then stole all the chems for myself and went back to Diamond City. Now, with Latimer's key, I sneak into their house and I kill off Malcolm and I rob everything they owned. I also steal everything from Cook's residence, who actually had a good amount of stuff, to be honest. With all of these small side quests completed, I make my way to Good Neighbor and ended the life of someone who thought he could out-street smart me. I also went through the warehouses in Good Neighbor and killed everyone who was inside because the Triggerman and I have a long-standing beef that won't end until they're all dead. With the first warehouse cleared out, I did the same thing to the second warehouse, pretty much destroying everybody inside without being seen. After that business was settled, I went to the memory lounger, spoke to Dr. Amari, sat in Kellogg's memories, and then I began to go to the Glowing Sea. Honestly, the Glowing Sea wasn't too rough. I thought it would be worse, but 2 Rad-X allows you to pretty much mitigate all the Rads, and despite dying once to a surprise Deathclaw, it was all fairly smooth sailing. No jumps from Rad Scorpions, no annoying bugs showing out of nowhere, just a fairly nice chill walk. After that, I arrived at the Crater of Adam and spoke to some schizophrenics, and they told me where I could find Virgil. Outside his cave, I snuck up on the Deathclaw and did some very, very good damage with the sneak hits. In the end, I killed him by sending his ass into the stratosphere. I don't know what happened with all the Deathclaws this run, I don't know why they were so buggy, but I'm not going to complain. In the cave, I spoke to Virgil and he sent me off to Green Tech Genetics. At Green Tech, I didn't really have any super annoying encounters, especially at the start. The only kind of annoying bit was the first floor where I died a few times, but I realized I could hide in one of the side rooms and the gunners would just keep coming in and I could kill them slowly without being in the line of fire. As for the missile launcher area, I did die a few times, but eventually I managed to sneak up to the missile launcher gunner and I shanked him into oblivion. And after, I wiped out his little crew of the other 2 gunners. Of all the encounters, however, this one room before the elevator was basically impossible, because no matter what I did, I would just get fucking annihilated whenever I took a single step through the door. I felt like I was walking straight into a firing range. After dying a few times, I decided just to use my Roadmen finesse, and once more, I just ran straight into the elevator. As for the Corsair, I backed him up against the wall like a helpless victim, and did not stop inserting my blade into him until he stopped moving. He had no hope after he was disarmed, it was just GG's. I also killed the gunners who were there, and that bitch who asked for my help, because she did have some caps. With the Corsair chip in hand, I went off to the Railroad HQ, and I found their super secret passcode. I spoke to Desdemona, and then I spoke to Tinker Tom, who decoded the Corsair chip for me. And that's the final time we will see the Railroad in this playthrough. With the data in hand, I spoke to Virgil, and again, once more I said bye to someone for the final time in this playthrough. Now, as for building the signal interceptor, I spoke to Preston Garvey, who told me basically, oh yeah, I see you want to get into the most insane and most secretive part of the Commonwealth, but...
I'd like to help, but you know my situation. I've got to deal with the immediate problems first.
Now, as I clear Corvega Assembly Plant to help out one of the settlements I forget the name of, allow me to explain why the Minutemen for today's run. Well, to be honest, I don't know any other faction that would really suit something like a gang. I mean, a Roadman is a gang member. I don't think any other faction besides the Minutemen could kind of pass as that. The Brotherhood are a military, and they're more like the police, so I can't obviously side with them, and they're my number 1 op. I can't run with the Shadow Powers, aka the Institute again, because it wouldn't make sense. Roadmen are too dumb, and the Railroad is way too noble for me to try and join them. So I don't think that would allow any other faction besides the Minutemen, and that's why I thought, I guess the Minutemen can kind of function like a gang, and that was my choice of faction today. With Corvega cleared, I go back to Preston, tell him that that's completed, and I give the plans to build the signal interceptor to Sturges. I then build the signal interceptor perfectly first try, and I add an extra 6 relay dishes because I have the ability to do so, and I do as I want, and I want to spread dangerous radio waves everywhere. With the teleporter up and running, I teleport straight into the Institute, and the first things first, I slam a holotape into the Institute's terminal to download all of their data. I then marvel at all the amazing technology and the advanced civilization I could be a part of, and to show my excitement, I stab Father and steal all of his shit. I expected this to be a bit where the 1000 synths swarm the elevator and it's almost impossible to escape. However, I only found 5 or 6 synths and leave basically without any issues. Teleporting out, I speak to Preston and tell him about my crimes so that he becomes an accessory and is now roped into my criminal activity. Now that I've killed Father, the next step for me is to build up more settlements for the Minutemen so that we can reclaim the castle and begin an offensive on the British people, I mean the Institute. The first settlement on my mind was Grey Garden, and I spoke to more fucking clankers. These fucking clankers are taking over. As a good bitch though, I submit to their will, and I go and clear out the water plant. The super mutants out the front are not too hard to deal with. I'm able to stab them a couple times before they just collapse and die. And as an added bonus, there was just Brotherhood air support and a random ass gunner. I don't know where he came from, but he kind of helped out before I killed him. Inside the plant, I just sneak around and pick off the Mirelurks, usually one at a time, slowly drained all the water, and then once the water was fully drained, I went back to the greyest of gardens, and the clankers agreed to become a part of the Minutemen. Next on the list was Finch Farm. Why I chose to get out of my way for Finch Farm, I don't know, and I regret it all. I spoke to the Finches, and then I went off to invade the Forge and wipe out another rival gang. Now you would think, oh, it's some flaming raiders, surely it's not too bad. Oh boy, it sucked. My first 10 minutes, I tried to go in through the back, that's what she said, and I died a solid 5 to 10 times here. The next option was sneaking around and going with a frontal penetration, that's what she said. This was measurably better because I was able to at least kill a whopping 2 forged without dying. I know everybody, please cheer me as the best gamer of all time. After dying again and again and again, maybe one last time, okay, I swear, this is the last time I died, I gave up on killing these guys. It's rigged. So I return the favor to the Finches, who face the end of my blade. With the Finches dead, I go and kill some super mutants for another settlement. But of course, the game just has to throw a big curveball and send Enclave soldiers in power armor at me, who swamped and killed me. They sucked. I died for a solid 30 minutes. It was just an absolute death loop, and they would keep spawning in different angles every time. The main reason this all sucked was the fact that I'm literally in a sports jersey, and I am getting one tap at people with advanced plasma weapons. Eventually, I managed to kill them. Don't ask how, because even I don't understand what happened. Somehow they all died. I think I just got some lucky disarms, and this allowed me to slowly bleed out everyone who was bullying me. After the Enclave ambush was dealt with, I moved on to the original goal, which was to kill these green skin mutants, so that I can increase the size of my gang. After the mutants were dealt with, I speak to the settlers at the settlement, which I forgot the name of, and they agreed to join my crew. Returning to Preston Garvey, I am told it's time to reclaim the castle, and I make my way over to the castle itself. At the castle, I decide the best plan of attack is going in guns blazing, and we charge up the hill and fight the Mirelurks, who decided to try and call the castle home. Similar to my treatment of peaceful British citizens, I ruin their peace by killing them with my knife. The first wave of Mirelurks was not really anything but some easy ass kills because I can pretty much one-shot them in a few swings, or the Minutemen can deal with the rest of them. Mans then killed off the offspring, and the Mother Ho did not accept Mans' treatments of them kids and ended mandem. Speaking in God's real language now, the Mirelurk Queen was actually surprisingly not impossible. I'm very shocked. I'm just as shocked as you guys, to be honest. While she did manage to kill me 3 or so times with some sneaks and crits, I was able to bleed her out and kill her relatively easily, and so long as she didn't hit me too many times, I could take a few blows from her. The drugs did help me sustain myself as well, and the slow time from Jet makes my life a lot easier. With the mother bitch dead, I power up the radio and get my crew on track to brainwash the wasteland into thinking we are delivering justice. This kind of reminds me of a radio station in Rwanda in July of 1993, proof that sometimes the media lies. With the castle reclaimed, I needed to do the most exciting part of any Minutemen run, and that is to reclaim more settlements for the Minutemen. Yes, this is an exciting ending to any playthrough. The first one on my list was Abernathy Farm, and since this is meant to be a starting game settlement, and I am level 19, this was an extremely easy quest. I just went off to kill some raiders, one had a very big toy, and then I grabbed the amulet for the Abernathy Farm, who agreed to join my gang. The next settlement was Oberlin Station, and they sent me off for Sunshine Tiding Co-op, which was also super easy to clean out because a few roaches and ghouls was not too difficult to exterminate. On my way to the next settlement, I bumped into a rogue sentry bot, and honestly, I thought this would be a major issue, but I forgot the knife is for some reason extremely good at single target high HP enemies, and even though it sucks for groups of medium HP enemies, bit of foreshadowing there, I am able to destroy the sentry bot quite easily. Eventually, I arrive at Somerville and they tell me some bugs are pesting them from 100 kilometers away across the Commonwealth. And so I go 100 kilometers from the settlement and I kill them all. With Somerville under my control and the addition of a bunch of random settlements I didn't even bother to mention, I needed to get back to the castle and help an old hag. The old hag was named Ronnie Shaw, and she apparently knew where I could get access to the mysterious metal door in the castle, so I followed her lead and went down into the scary dungeon. Inside, I go around and disarm all the landmines that I find, and then I bump into a special sentry bot named Sarge. He was not too bad, although I did die once. After dying, I retry, and then I'm able to kill Sarge with some lucky VATS abuse, and with Sarge dead, I get to see what remains of the Minutemen's previous general, and the fact that after 40 years of being in the open, he did not decompose at all. Maybe, coming with the job, I get no decomposing skin. With access to the back of the Minutemen's weapon stash, I now have the ability to build artillery at settlements, an ability that would be completely useless, but at least it looks quite cool. And with my new extremely overpowered weaponry, the Institute decides that now is a crucial time to raid the Minutemen HQ and try to kill us all. So I build up some machine guns as defense. I thought maybe some walls would help. Spoiler, it didn't. This section was absolute hell, especially after the start. Not to mention, I did die during the start as well. After around 30% of the invasion, all the machine guns were completely destroyed, I couldn't repair them, and so it was just me, Preston, Kate, and Ronnie Shaw, left to kill like 300 synths. I died for at least 30 minutes straight, and I just save-scummed my way through the encounter. I died here, and here, not to mention I also died here, and at some point I decided maybe sneaking around the outside would help me get sneak attacks if I used Stealth Boy. It didn't. The next bonus of fun came from the synths on top of the castle. I had to try and get up and kill them without dying, which was an issue. Lucky for me, the knife's ability to disarm was the carry because I can just pray that they... and that would allow me an easier kill. This coupled with saves coming worked pretty well for me. I mean, I say pretty well, but I did die at least 60 times. And the last group, I just started to pop chems like it was a dying trend. It really isn't. And eventually, I was able to clear out the castle. This section is best explained in a 10-second short clip I made at the expense of my microphone. Me before the Institute invaded the Minutemen. Feel the serenity.
Me after the Institute invaded the Minutemen. There is no serenity!
Honestly, I'll be for real, I just wanted to use a cheese grater in a video, and this seemed like an apt opportunity. When the castle's safe, it was time for me to switch on the offensive, and we're up them clankers mandem. I spoke to Surges, who said to swim in the sewer and through some pipes. Inside, I would get access to the Institute, and with the main pipe open, I entered the Institute's waterworks. Inside, I took out the turrets on the roof, because I can reach them somehow, and then I also took out all the undesirables who were lurking inside. I then kill off 2 more synths with some pointed trauma, soon making my way to the relay and teleporting Sturges plus the crew in, and beginning the assault. To be frank, I only destroyed the synths that I had to, and I ignored most of the ones I didn't. This was especially true for the first room, because once I made it downstairs, I took the option of run fast. I did die. Next time I ran faster and I dropped into the hole, breaking into bioscience, while also continuing to run away from all the synths. Once I reached the Institute's main atrium, the synths were not too tragic, especially compared to the bullshit at the castle, so I am grateful that instead of 5,000 synths, there are maybe 50. The synths here, I basically did the same thing and I just disarmed them and either let the Minutemen kill them off or I destroyed them if they were semi-low on HP. I then go to Father's Terminal, disarm all the doors, and I start the evacuation order because if the scientists die, I can't rob them and that's not very useful for me. Inside the reactor area, I decide that I want to clean out the room to repent for my previous sins of skipping fights. I expected this fight to suck, but honestly, it was not too bad. I don't even think I died one time. Most of the synths were either missing miserably or I was maybe just too skilled to die. I think the former is more accurate. With the reactor now primed to explode, Sturgis teleported me and the rest of the Minutemen out of the Institute, and man stood there, staring at the insta-still fam. Then I banged the switch, set off the nuke, and blew man's base sky high, Innit Bruvs. Now I run the whole Commonwealth, ting safe. The English translation is, Institute go boom. Now as the post-run thoughts today, I hated this run, it sucked, I don't even like this script that much, I don't even know if it's a good video, to be honest. The only redeeming factor was I get to use a very shitty British accent, and I get to mock Roadmen. That's the only interesting bit, and I got to use my cheese grater. Other than that, I never want to do a run like this ever again. I don't like using melee weapons while I'm completely naked, and I just want to say this run was torture, so please subscribe. Now, I just want to say thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.